G'day, and welcome to Thfc Till I Die, your home of Tottenham, past, present, and I tell you what, we could be winning the league this year. Not really, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but we are heading towards the Champions League, and that is for sure. Look, great win today. We are going to start a little bit about Tottenham. Look, but first, before that, I want to introduce our two guests we have. Usually is my usual co-host, Mr. Didgeridoo himself, who plays drums on the Wednesday, Tom Jones on the drums on the Tuesday, Tom Jones on the Wednesday, and plays his didgeridoo on the Friday. It's the one and only Mr. Philip Didgeridoo Brady. How are you, Philip?
How would anybody be after a Spurs win? That's all I can say.
Yeah,
you know,
I can see you look happy. I can tell you look happy.
Sure, you know, yeah. Well, sure. I mean, you know, we have to be on a win. We had enough miserable Saturdays last year, so I'm not going to have too many this year, I don't think.
No, we had enough for you saying I'm not staying around for this and sulking off. So it's great to see you. Great to see you there. And of course, down below, we've got this man who's, I tell you, backstage, he was a nightmare. He was miserable. He was moaning. He was fed up. He said, this Tottenham winning lark is, I can't, you know, I've had enough of this. I want Conte back. And no, he didn't really say that. He was Cockeral, like we all were. How are you, Brad, this evening? Great to have you back on the channel again.
Yeah, I'm really good. I went out last night with some friends for a brilliant blues band. And today, got myself out of bed, had a bit of breakfast and watched Spurs play well and win again. And thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, yeah, you always get your moments where you go, you know, but that's football. But yeah, it was great. It was great today. And it's yeah, I mean, how far can we take this? Shame to say that we were top of the league. We were top of the league at lunchtime, and we bottled it. We're not top anymore, so you know.
That's a coincidence, Brad. I was at a blues gig last night as well, and sat in with the band for a few songs. It was great all night.
Oh, nice one. Oh, I'd love to do that. I'd love to be sober enough to do that.
Right. Well, I have loads of breaking news to give you, but this channel is now being sponsored. Let me hit that by the one and only. Let me get his picture up here. By Mr. Mugshot.com himself. That is our new sponsor. Look at him. Doesn't he just look happy sponsoring our channel? Look at him.
He looks like an Arsenal fan when Fulham equalised.
Oh, that's it. That's it. But this was him today after Arsenal drew. So there you go. So there we go. So we are being sponsored by Mugshots Zyros. If you want your mugshot like that, man, right, you go down to you run for a presidency, you try to claim it, you won, but you didn't, and you just go around America being a big tit, and then you get arrested. Yeah. So there you go. So be like Donald Trump.
I don't think I'm going to upset anyone, but who cares? Did you know that 1 out of 3 Donald Trump supporters are just as dumb as the other 2?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That is true. But do you know what? Just very quickly on that, guys. I actually did read the other day, actually. This actually could work in his favor, you know. He could end up winning the election.
Yeah. Americans are crazy, you know, or half of America are crazy enough.
Jack, if you are watching from the other half of the Irish Hotspur, we love America. We all do. We think it's a great country. It's just 10% of them are a bit cuckoo, but not you. You're brilliant. Before any Americans or Mexicans do actually get into us, these are all hypothetical thoughts by us. So, Philip, would you dig me out of a hole because I'm digging myself into one?
Let's change the subject. Let's get on to talk about something more important than Donald Trump. Likewise, James Madison's performance today.
Yeah. Can I go through the chat first?
Performance today. You can, I'm only changing the subject for you. Go on, carry on.
And also, we can also talk about whatever. We've got Mia from hi. She says,
"Hi, Mia.
Hi, Mia. Hope you're enjoying your holiday." We've got Colin, evening from Leeds and all.
Hey, Colin.
Big up Leeds, doing a little bit of security work up there at the Leeds Festival. We've got Kev Williams. Hi, everyone. Coys, big up, Kev. We've got Lisa from Mexico. Big up, Lisa. Hope you're doing well.
Hi,
what's the weather like in Mexico? Evening all, great win today. We're absolutely buzzing. Leo, Land, and Lego. Trump 2024.
Oh, dear.
Now, Philip, Leo and you need to have a chat. You need to. He's
entitled. Listen, he's entitled to his opinion. I'm entitled to mine. If we differ, so what?
Yeah, Philip's a bit of a Jedi master, Brad. By the way, he's like a bit like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's what Philip's like. He's there doing the watch along, doing Jedi mind tricks.
Makes you change from Tom Jones, anyway, I suppose.
Well, yeah. I did say he was giving them a name. Yeah, it's really not unusual, is it, Brad?
Oh, he brought it up keep going. Keep going.
He brought it up himself. We've got Leo. Nice win. The team is progressing well. Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Saying Trump's defense lawyers are as solid as Man United's midfield.
Yeah. Well, you scraped the win today, though. Scraped it in the world.
I guess I'm dumb. No, you're not, Paul. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Only joking.
Really joking. We've got Brian Hire and Paul Amir. Yeah, I did speak to her earlier. She is not feeling well, bless her. I did tell her to go and get a COVID test. So, me, I hope you got one. But I hope you're all right because it is doing the rounds. What else? Oh, yeah, breaking news. We have loads of it. We have more breaking news. We have more breaking news than Tottenham winning. But anyway, here we go. We start with, where's the start one? Tottenham Hotspur Football Club will step up with their interest in Gift Orban or Brennan Johnson if they can offload players currently in the squad. So that's the latest on Gift Orban. We've got
Did Brennan Johnson go off injured today? Did Brennan Johnson go off injured?
I think so,
I heard a rumor he might have gone off with a hamstring.
Yeah. We've got Aston Villa have ended their pursuit of Tottenham Hotspur playmaker Lo Celso.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Tottenham Hotspur are in talks with Fulham. No, hold your head. Yeah. Don't lose your hair, lads. Don't lose your hair. Over a swap deal involving Tosan and Eric Dyer and money. Air Dyer is deemed surplus to requirements at the club.
Who does money play for?
They're going to pay us for Eric Dyer.
Well, we got to pay them for Eric.
I think we'll be paying them. We'll be paying them to take him off our hands, I think.
Yeah. And Ange is also not happy with Richarlison out, put in the front of goal, and wants a striker ASAP as he feels he cannot rely on him. Yeah, I think
today's performance now was pretty abject now. I mean, tripping over the ball was a low point really for any player. But to do it after he was so poor in the rest of the match must have been horrible for the lad. I felt sorry for him. You know? But look how good we were when he went off. We controlled the game completely once he went off.
I thought his first half wasn't that bad, actually. I thought he had a fairly okay first half. But once he started making simple mistakes in the second half, that was it. He just sort of lost it.
Yeah.
Look, I've been
saying that comment that Paul's made there. See that comment about Everton? Everton, for the first time in the history, no points, no goals after 3 matches.
Yeah. Look, for me, I said it today, guys, that Richarlison, you know what it was like doing the watch along, Philip. I was not happy with him. And I know what you're saying is give him time, but today's enough. That's me now, done with him. I don't want him in the lineup anymore after today.
Dermot, I'd support any Spurs player on the pitch with a shirt on, with a Spurs shirt on, as long as he does his best. For Carlson's day, that was not good enough.
No, it wasn't good enough. I'm sorry. It wasn't good enough.
That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay then.
Oh. I actually thought.
Damn goes that argument.
Pick another subject.
Yeah. We've got also, I have an idea. Everton have not scored a goal this season. Richarlison scored 53. He says, can we give Richarlison back to Everton? Brad, did we keep the receipt?
Well, look, you can argue about the price tag. If Richarlison had scored 10 goals last season, we wouldn't be arguing about it. But
yeah,
I'm still willing to give him a bit of time. We haven't really got any other options to play up front unless you bring Sonny over. But you could argue until today that our front three haven't really fired on all cylinders this season. And we're still doing well. So, in fact, today I think, we've had 6 different goal scorers. And none of them, apart from Kulusevski, have been a forward. So it's not only Richarlison that's not scoring, Sonny hasn't scored. But, I think disappointing in his second half today. I thought his first half was okay. I thought he had a fairly good... He was linking up play, holding the ball, that sort of thing. His second half, though, he made a couple of really, really simple errors that, sort of error that me or you probably wouldn't even make. And then he just lost confidence. And then he just kicked out. Yeah. It was just petulance.
Yeah.
He wasn't good enough in the second half. And we did play... Not so much when he came off, but when all the substitutions. I mean, I think Cockeral today made some really good substitutions at the right time.
They were absolutely spot on time-wise because Bournemouth were just getting the foothold in the game, and that completely changed. It took the impetus away from them. So it was a masterclass by Ange today, really, in every respect.
Do you guys think that Conte has done more damage to Richarlison than anyone thought he has?
Only possibly they didn't play him enough last season.
But psychologically, he gave him a bad doing in the dressing room one day. He should have ridiculed him in front of the rest of the players, which can never go down well, No. There's something wrong with Richie's head. He's not quite there, the best way of putting it.
And we've got a €2 super sticker from Kev Williams. Well, big up, Kev. Thank you so much for that. And it is Mood, with a big smiley face with the 2 zeros, 2 circles with a big smiley face. Mood, big up. And look, for me, and we've got a question here for Kev Williams. He asked, what will it take for Richie to come good? I think goals. Yeah, I think goals, but I think, look, I'm going to put it out there. Maybe go and speak to somebody in the international break. Maybe he needs to go and talk to somebody, a psychologist or somebody, to probably get him out of the place he's in. Maybe he does need that talking to, because I have a funny feeling whatever Conte said to him last season has affected him. Do you know? He's got into his head. Yeah. Maybe I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And he needs to get out of this. So maybe go and talk to somebody. Guys, what do you think?
There is psychologists in the club. Isn't there, Brad? But a team like Spurs would have in-house psychologists dealing with things like this.
Without a doubt, they'd have something there.
Yeah, you're right, though. You should go and have a word with him, And see if you can...
I think actually Mia's spot on there. That chance he had today, where he should have hit it first time, where he took the ball, should have hit shot away, and yet he wanted to round the keeper and all that stuff, and he totally stuffed it up. When you're in form and you're scoring goals, you do relax, and you scored a goal. I think he just needs a goal, but it's get to the stage now where how long do you give him? We just have to have trust in. I mean, let's face it, we've won 2 and drawn a game. So with him in it, so it's not a bad start. So we just have to trust in Postecoglou, who rates him. So
I look for me. Yeah, go on, Philip.
I said they were calling Maddison today on TNT the signing of the season. I'm sure the Arsenal fans love to hear that.
Did you see the press conference where they said about him being a bargain at 45 million, and he goes, "Oh, gee, I don't know what world you live in, sort of a 45 million pound bargain."
Yeah.
We've got Super Tottenham. Big up Super Tottenham. Hope you're doing well. He says, Richarlison isn't a striker for me, maybe for Brazil, but not in the Premier League. For Watford and Everton, his best position was on the left side of midfield, swap which he was Sonny. And then we also got Kev Williams. He says, I agree there, Dermot. I think a psychologist. Yeah, I can't even get the word out now. I said it before, Grant, just can't get my teeth around it. As he's trying so hard, and this is affecting his mental health. in my opinion. I think it is. And then we've got Paul Pablo. The question is the team Richarlison. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team game. It's interesting to note that when we signed Gary Lineker, I don't think he scored for the first 8 or 9 games of the season.
Yeah.
But the question is, how long do we keep saying, "Oh, it'll come good, it'll come good"? I'm quite patient with new players, but my patience is starting to run a little thin.
Brad, though he's not a new player.
I think what's going to happen if we sign Gift Orban or someone like that over the next week or so, Richarlison is going to find himself on the bench.
Yeah,
because the new guy is going to go straight in there, which might not be good for Richarlison either. But
we'll have to wait and see, won't we, Philip? But look, we will more of that tomorrow. I'll be doing my own match day thoughts on that. Philip will probably do a video. Philip's on his way on these hollies from tonight. So Philip I'll do my own Dermatron thoughts on the game tomorrow. So we'll have more on that. Right. We're getting into the question of the podcast. I've got a poll running in the chat. Would you watch the Saudi Pro League? 15% say yes, 85% say no. So please keep that feed for your vote and let us know. This will be going up on Spotify on our channel in the next couple of days. I've got 2 to upload, so they will be going up as well. So you can listen to us while you're at the gym or doing the shopping. Or I listen to podcasts when I'm walking around Audi doing the shopping. It really does. It's a great way to pass the time when you're waiting in the queue to buy your food and that in there. So good. So Philip and Brad, listen. It was said on TalkSport about 3 weeks ago, or 2.5 weeks ago, Jim White, Simon Jordan, and the man who owns the Saudi Pro League stated that the Saudi Pro League would be the biggest league in the world in 2 years' time. Now, there's lots of different questions about the Saudi Pro League. Is it ethical? Players are going there, but with human rights and everything like that, Philip and Brad. And look, I want to kick off the question before we get into it first, Philip. I'll start with you, Philip, and then go to Brad. What does the where is it now? Sorry. Yeah. Will the Saudi League Pro League change football as we know it if this does continue?
The Saudis would like to think, yes, it will. They want to. They've said they want to be the top league in the world in 2 years. I can't ever see that happening. But then again, if you get another truckload of mercenary footballers who are prepared to put the money ahead of their principles and go out and play out there, then possibly it will. I mean, we did a survey there today, of all the players that have gone to Saudi from the various leagues in Europe, and the figures are mind blowing. I mean, I think wages alone, the Saudis almost $1 billion a year to pay these guys, right? That have come out there, right now. Why would you want to go? I printed off an article today from the Spectator magazine. Now, it was done a couple of months ago before some of these players had gone. But I'm going to read this bit out. And this sums up the whole thing, right? It is a statement of the blindingly obvious to suggest that these staggering sums make no economic sense. It is depressing to see such high-profile players, already absurdly wealthy, sell themselves and their legacy to the Saudis. Do they even bother to ask why they have been offered this kind of money to play in an irrelevant football league? And that, to me, sums it all up. The Saudis, they are so rich, they don't know what to do with their money. And a couple of billion here and there won't even make a dent in their balance of payments or whatever they want to call it. All they're trying to do is make it look as if it's a tourist and sporting destination, a country where Messi or Ronaldo and co are happy to play, and help turn international attention away from its abysmal human rights record. That is what it's all about.
Now, Brad,
end of rant.
Just very quickly, look, if you look at the transfer fees here, for above 292 million, total salary 783 million. That's just
that's before a lot. That's before a lot of the recent ones. That's why it's nearer $1 billion. You know, so that's crazy money.
Yeah. So look, Brad. We all remember the first division when we're growing up before the Premier League. Do you think this is another evolution of football with the Saudi League?
No, You guys might be old enough to remember when the New York Cosmos formed back in the 70s, and suddenly the American League was good. They got all the top. They got the George Best, the Pelés, all these players. Oh, this is going to destroy football, aren't you? And then we had it with China when China started having their own league. What happened to the Chinese league?
Yeah.
You know,
and the
other thing about the only thing about the Saudi Pro football's about being part of a club and supporting your club. I don't even know any Saudi teams. So the only interest that the Saudi Pro League will have will be the people who live there and follow their local team, maybe. You know, so I don't think anyone, you know, around the country are going to be, around the world rather, are going to be interested at all in the Saudi Pro League. I'm a massive, massive cricket fan. I love cricket. Yet I've got no interest in the Indian Premier League. No interest at all. Right. Because, again, it's a fabrical, you know, they brought all the best players, create these teams, and I've got no interest in it. You know, it's because football's a very parochial sport. You support your team. And unless you're living in Saudi Arabia and, you know, you go to your local team, I don't think it'll have any impact. And the amount of money that you're right, what you said, Philip, footballers are well paid anyway. Especially the ones that are going over there, you know, they're played well. I worked it out once that if you earn 50 grand a week as a footballer, which by today's terms is pretty low for your good footballers, if you earn 50 grand a week in one season, you probably earn more money than I would in my lifetime working a normal job. You know, and that's 50 grand a week. We're talking about millions. It's obscene. You can't. You get to a stage where, look, I want money. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have money. I'd love to have a nice house, a nice car, go on holidays, whatever. But you get to a stage where you can't spend it all. You know, it just sits there in your bank account. So,
well, I mean, N'Golo Kante is earning 86 million a year from going out there.
Yeah, how would you?
Obscene.
Someone please tell me what you spend that on, unless you put it into things like, you know.
Well, he does.
You know,
he does. He's like charitable stuff.
Hospitals or whatever it might be. If you know, let's build a hospital for £53 million or whatever it might be. That's the only way you can spend that sort of money.
Well, that's why I mentioned him, because he actually does a lot of work for charity.
Yeah,
he never spends any money on himself apparently. So that's why I mentioned.
Yeah, and that's great. I've got no problems with people that do that.
Yeah, but you know one thing. One.
I was going to say there might be players over there that think they might be able to change things. And but you know, use their influence to do that. But you know, you're right. I you know, but
you know the teams out there. I'm going to read out the names of the teams out there. They're very. There's no thought put into these names. There's Al Nassr, there's Al Hilal, there's Al Ahly, there's Al. What's the next one? Al Ittihad, and they're all Al's. and apparently they're playing to crowds never more than 30,000 people.
Yeah, in probably massive stadiums.
Can I ask you a question? Did they have any connection to West London? Because Al lives in West London. Do you know what I mean?
I live in West London as well. So,
do you meet a couple of Al's down there?
Al Brad, you're Al Brad, are you?
Yeah, Al Brad. Yeah. It's Al Sofa.
Al Blue Sofa. Yeah, but look, back in 1992. Listen, back in 1992. All the 22 owners of the first Premier League were British. Now, there was no British Premier League club owned by anybody, by an Englishman, an Irishman, a Scotsman, or a Welshman.
Yeah.
So there were
things have changed.
They're all British. I think United were owned by the fella that owns Ryanair. What's his name? Philip.
The only Irish person I've ever known who's miserable, or maybe two. Roy Keane,
Michael O'Leary. No,
yeah, that's the guy. Yeah,
O'Leary. No, he. Oh, what was his? They're a part of Celtic as well.
Dermot Desmond.
Now they were a part of the United time in the early 92s when Fergie was there. Just very quickly, Brad. Look. 22 owners were all British owned Premier League clubs. Now, if you go into these are the owners of this year. Look, if we go through them, then first three: USA, England for Brighton and Brentford. Arsenal, of course, are owned by the United States. Aston Villa are owned by Egypt and the United States, respectively. We've got Bournemouth, United States, Burnley, United States, Crystal Palace, United States and England, Chelsea, United States, who should be relegated, Fulham, United States. Now, this fellow was born in Pakistan, by the way, so he's of Pakistani origin, but he's United States. Everton are Iranian, UK, but Iranian born. Liverpool, United States. Manchester City, state-owned by the UAE. Manchester United, Glazers, but looking to be taken over by Qataris. Newcastle, public investment fund by Saudi Arabia. Got Forest, who are Greece. Sheffield United, Saudi Arabia, which I never knew. I mean, did you know that, Brad?
No. Saudi paper manufacturing, interesting.
Yeah. Joe Lewis, of course, everyone wants to get them out, but they are English owned. West Ham, Wales, and the Czech Republic. Luton Town are owned by the supporters of Luton Town. Philip, I'll start with you. I actually start with you, Brad, then I'll give you Philip. 1992, all British owned. 23, 24, nearly 30 years later. Only a few clubs. I mean, it works out, Brad, to be. Me and Philip worked this out today, actually. 8 clubs American, 4 British clubs, 4 China, 1 Abu Dhabi clubs, and 3 other clubs. Does that surprise you that how football has evolved in sort of 30 years?
Not really, because if you go back to 1992 and looked at who owned British businesses, you probably find the same sort of table. It's just the way the world is. The world changes. 1992. We all look at the 90s with sort of, I do especially. I love the 90s, but it's a long time ago. It's 30 years ago, and times change. You look at who owns British businesses now, even ones that we think as being British, Land Rover, all this sort of thing are owned by other countries. It's just the way the world is at the moment.
Brad, you work for Harrods now, don't you?
I do, yeah.
And Harrods aren't owned by local family.
No, they're owned by the Qatari investment fund, which the ones that are showing interest in Tottenham, funny enough, that's who own Harrods and have owned Harrods previously. It's obviously the guy, I can't think of his name, but we all know him. The guy was at Fulham, but yeah, they're owned by the Qataris.
Al Fayed.
Yeah.
Oh,
did you know that Harrods is the 3rd most popular tourist place in London?
Mm. Yeah.
It's this, come and see Harrods.
They're all coming to see you, Brad. They're all coming to see you.
Well, the funny thing is, I actually work in Hammersmith. They won't allow me to work in the store. So.
Oh, right, okay.
We've got a few comments here, guys. We've got Jazz Johnson. Half the people in England would move to Saudi Arabia if they had the chance. Tax-free, first year, much more wages, and safe place to bring up your family.
I don't know about that.
It's too hot.
We've got John.
Too much oppression.
Yeah, that was the other fella as well. I think he was part of Derek Desmond. We've got Colum saying, I'm waiting for a Geordie team to start up. They will be Alan Shearer.
That's good.
Alan. Oh, yeah, I've just worked that out now. That's a good one.
Good.
We've got Super Tottenham. It's pure greed for footballers going to the Saudi Pro League. They're getting paid far too much money already. Getting overpaid for kicking round ball around here. Jazz Jones says 30 years ago, no one had any interest in Dubai. Now look at it.
Dubai barely existed 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as soon as they started making money.
They were like the Beverly Hillbillies. Some fella went out the back of the desert and scooped a bit of oil, and that was the end of it.
Actually, this is why I want the whole world to be powered by solar power and all this sort of stuff, and no use for oil. Not because of the environment, because it means it puts them all out of business.
That's from Brad. That's Brad's. What can I call you now, Brad? Brad, Greenpeace.com.
I've been called a lot of things.
Yeah. Brad have been next on your telly doing one of them adverts that come on at halftime during the match. Brad here, ambassador for Greenpeace. Don't use oil. If not, I'll come round and get you. Yeah, I know. We're doing the Liam Neeson things. I know where you live. I know where you are. We've got Kev Williams. I don't think people can relate to clubs there. Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham, scumbags.
Yeah.
Other scumbags, etc.
Exactly.
They are well known. Philip, can I ask you a question, right? We've all supported I'd love to know. I mean, if we combined all our ages together, I think it'd be well over 100 years we've been following Tottenham. If we combined all our ages together, right, for one person.
Shows as
What's the difference, Philip, you've seen between football in the 60s and 70s? Me and Brad, probably, I think you're a bit the 70s as well, weren't you, Brad?
More 70s, yeah. I mean, the late 60s, but yeah.
Me, the 80s and 90s. I mean, how have you seen football evolve over that from then to now, Philip? And does it scare you where football's heading?
Well, if you're talking about football on the pitch, fair enough. That's evolved. Better pitches, better equipment, better players, maybe in a lot of cases. But as regards the fan experience, right? It's gone from you turned up, you went through the turnstiles, you had your pork pie and your bovril at halftime, you stood on the terraces, you froze your nuts off supporting your team. Now you come along, you go into your executive box, you pay 9 or 10 quid for a pint of a watery beer, and it's all become the football has nearly become secondary to the money making aspect of the like in 1960s and 70s. I'd say the take at the bar or the restaurants in a match was probably 1% of what it is today. You know, people go to matches earlier now so they can have a pint and can have something. That's fair enough, nothing wrong with that. But that was completely unheard of. No, I know what you mean. But that was completely unheard of in the 60s.
Brad is teetotal.
You bought your bovril from probably a galvanized hut at the back of the stand. And now look what they're doing. Pouring beer that comes up from the bottom of the glass. You know, it's a complete fan experience change. The football not pretty much has stayed the same, pretty much, except for the better pitches and whatever. But it's the how to get as much money out of your fan base and not have them complaining about it. That seems to be the way. Now Tottenham shot themselves in the foot by putting up the prices, but if you look at the take from the, I heard how many pints of beer was sold at a Spurs game. I forget what it was. It's anyway. I reckon there's £1 million a game being taken in at the various bars. Now work that out. Back in the 60s, you might have took 50 quid from selling bovril.
Yeah. Now, Philip, look, Brad. I just want to twist it a little bit for you. Look, you look at the owners that have had Tottenham over the years, and you look at different owners. Robert Maxwell tried to buy us, another dodgy owner. We had Ivan Scholar, who nearly bought us, nearly broke us. You had Michael Keaton or Knighton for United back in the 90s as well. You look at the clubs now that have got state-owned ownership, the likes of Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle. Back in the 90s, they were in the second division or really fighting relegation every season. Do you think the clubs like Tottenham and probably West Ham and a few other clubs like that have been really left behind by this state ownership? And were the Premier League too relaxed of letting these people in?
I think there's a lot to be said about the Premier League and the rules that they use. Don't get me wrong. I think more money in football has been a good thing. I think the stadiums are much nicer to go to, and I don't like calling the fans customers, but let's face it, they used to treat the fans like cattle. Get as many in as you possibly can, no seats or whatever it might be. And it took disasters like Hillsborough, like the fire at wherever that was, I can't remember. It took that. It took that. Yeah, it took that to change things. Unfortunately, people died, but it took that to change things. So I think money in football is a good thing in that respect. And as Philip was saying, the pitches are a lot better. I remember when Tottenham was like, you might as well go to the beach at Tottenham. It was that sandy. Right. Yeah. But as far as I think it's circumstance as well. I mean, if you believe what you read, Roman Abramovich was almost buying Tottenham, and suddenly he found Chelsea. So it's can you argue we've been left behind? I don't think so, because it's circumstance at the end of the day that's happened. Under in a different world, we might be owned by the Saudis, rather than Joe Lewis and Enoch. So I think we've been left behind in other aspects of the game where we haven't we haven't wanted to go that extra mile to buy certain players. Without a doubt, I think we've been left behind in that respect. The Grealishes and the Bruno Fernandezes that we could have signed but didn't, because we basically were quibbling over, as Philip said, money that they'd make up in the next couple of games from food and drink sales anyway. So, but yeah, so in that respect, I think we have been left behind. But you've also got to look at it tactically as well, and we're now getting into this, using all this, statistics to look at players. We're following Brighton's lead, and this sort of stuff. So in that respect, we've been left behind there. We should be doing that. We should be leading, which we were back in the 60s and 70s. We were the ones that signed the £2 million players and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think as far as the owners are concerned, we're just the luck of the draw that that we haven't been taken over, because we might have been taken over.
But Philip,
you not think so? Go on.
I was just going to say, Philip, do you not think as well? But do you not think that if a likes of say a Qatari or a Saudi took us over instead of buying Man City, fans wouldn't have a problem about the other things that go behind, as long as we're successful on the pitch?
I'd have a problem. I'd have a big problem.
I know. But the problem is,
I'm not the only one either, Dermot. I'm not the only one.
I know. I'm not saying you are, Philip, but are some football fans turn a blind eye to that? And do you think there should be noise made for these people that come over and buy our clubs that are our lives? Do you know we followed these clubs all our lives, and they've been put into hands of people of countries that dirty money, whatever. And you look at Man City, Newcastle, you look at Chelsea when they're owned by Abramovich. Do you think the Premier League rolled over too easily? That was the question I was getting at.
Saudi Arabia should never ever have been allowed to go near Newcastle. If they applied the fitness for ownership rules as they should be, Newcastle will still be owned by Mike Ashley, if you want, because they do not fit the bill. And I'm going to read again from The Spectator, and this suits Newcastle down to the ground. The lust for Saudi money has given birth to a self-serving amnesia in the highest echelons of sport. It suits everyone involved to turn a blind eye to the regime's appalling record of human rights. Now, there's more about that. I'm not going to go into it. But Newcastle should never have been... Saudi should never be allowed to get near Newcastle. The Newcastle fans are so desperate for success. They've had about 50 years, 60 years without a trophy. I would say if Saddam Hussein was alive and took over Newcastle, there wouldn't have been a word said by the Newcastle fans. They are so glad now they've got money behind their team. I'm sorry, I can't go there. I'll say this categorically: if a Saudi Arabian regime took over Tottenham Hotspur, I would no longer support the club, and that is saying something. That's how much I think about it. That's how much it affects me. See a country like that getting away with stuff like this.
God, I tend to agree with you, Philip. The one thing I will say is I don't look. I'd find it. I don't think I'd stop supporting Tottenham. I'll be blatantly honest. Me, Mister right think, left thinking guy. But I would feel really uncomfortable with it. Don't get me wrong. But I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't blame the supporters for what's happening in other countries. It's not them that are doing these horrible things that these other governments are doing. Let's face it, our government, whether it be a Labour government or a Conservative government, spend money on arms, buy arms off these guys and give them money. So, they're just as in it as the Saudis themselves. So I think we do this. We tend to do this. We tend to beat ourselves up about things that we haven't got a lot of control over. It's like, oh my God, you should have a 10-minute shower because you're saving water, saving the planet. And you have a shower that might last, well, if it's me, 20 minutes, half an hour, and you think, oh my God, I'm so... No, look, the big companies pumping shit into the air and that sort of thing. That's the way the blame lies, not some poor sod who's having a 10, 15, 20-minute shower, or puts his rubbish in the wrong bin. They're not the blame for all that. And it's the same with the Saudis. The football fans not the blame for what's going on over there or in any country where there's human rights abuses. Yeah, you can stand up for it. Yes, you can vote for your politicians that will do something about it. You can go in your protest or whatever it might be. You can even protest at your football club. But I don't think the average football fan or in any form of life should beat themselves up about it.
you not think though that the powers that be that have got the power of you're suitable or you're not suitable should have come down heavier on the Saudis?
Oh,
listen, sorry,
without a doubt.
You are
without a doubt.
You are not a fit regime to be running a football club in our country. So bye, go off and do it somewhere else. And I'm just going to read again. Again, this is again from the Spectator, right? Now, this is very relevant to the whole situation. Now, I'll leave out the bit about women's rights. We all know they don't have any rights over there, right? The regime routinely resorts to using the death penalty as punishment for a wide range of crimes. In a single day in March, 81 people were executed. Is it really plausible to suggest that taking Saudi money can be separated from the regime's politics and human rights abuses? Are we really supposed to believe that the fiction that sport and politics are separate? The Saudis clearly don't believe in such nonsense. They're blatantly using international sport, its governing bodies and superstars to buy international respectability and immunity from criticism. Shame on the greedy fools in football and golf for aiding and abetting them. That's very strong stuff.
Yeah, that's really the point I was trying to make, is that it's not the supporters that are to blame for all this.
No, I'm not blaming the supporters. Listen, but I think a lot of let's face it, a lot of football fans don't care what goes on in Saudi Arabia. They don't even know what's going on in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. But it's the ones that do, like us, would have a really, really severe problem with it.
Yeah, but I think you're spot on with the people that allow these owners to take over, that they're lax rules. But again, it comes down to money. That's
money. It's money.
Yeah. Look for myself. I'd be like Brad. I'd be really uncomfortable with it. Now, I wouldn't stop supporting Tottenham, but I would be like you, Brad. And look, I respect your opinion, Philip, and you've been supporting Tottenham a lot longer than me and Brad have. So you have more of a right.
Not that much longer. Not that much longer.
No, but the point I'm making is, you have more of a right, I think, to as a fan of the who's seen Tottenham like more than us, have a right to have that opinion. And I think you're right to have that opinion. Every opinion is about football, and everyone has their right to their own opinion. But I'd be more like Brad. I'd be uncomfortable with it. But I don't think Tottenham would, because of the Jewish
very
connection.
Big reason. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
And that I think
Qataris are as bad, Dermot. Qataris are the same Arab connection. So,
I know, but I don't think Tottenham would. But the likes of Man United, the likes of Newcastle, the likes of Chelsea, who brought in Abramovich, and look, we can say what we want about Abramovich, and we can say what we want what's happening in Ukraine, and it's still a year on, it's still wrong. And it's still wrong what's happening over there. The football authorities were very quick to jump on the Chelsea, jump on that bandwagon and get Abramovich out of Chelsea. Chelsea, you're going to be this is going to happen to you, that's going to happen to you. Okay? Over their president invading another country, which he has no right to, and there's no right to be there. But that's a different subject for a different night. But the point is, shouldn't the FA and the Premier League or the UK government, who passed these laws, do the same thing for the likes of Saudi Arabia, Qataris, who their human rights is as worse as anything, and they're taking over our British clubs? So where's the? It's like, on one hand, okay, that's grand, Mr. Abramovich, we want you out of the Premier League. Your country's invaded another country, so on and so on. But it's okay, Mr. Qatari and Mr. Saudi Arabia. You can kill 81 people a month for as crimes such as shoplifting, or a woman can't walk down the street holding her hand with her husband. She might get pelted. But no, you can come and buy a football club. That's grand. We got no problems with that. Philip, look, it's a lot of hypocrisy here.
Of course, total hypocrisy. Of course they are. Of course they are. But it's not just football, Dermot, or sport. I think if you looked up the property register for all the Knightsbridge and the real affluent areas of London, you'll probably find more than half of them are owned by Arabs or Russians, and maybe they're buying up the real expensive real estate there. So by offending those people's country, the government's probably scared of scaring these people away, because they're bringing tax money into the country. They're buying up property. They're spending big bucks. I'm sure that some of the normal Saturday evening shoppers in Harrods are predominantly from the Far East, Middle East. I'm sure, Brad, that's one of the markets they aim at.
Oh, with that, I mean, I walked when I went for a walk around there when I went for my induction day. It's very. But then that's the area, so I would guess you could argue that that's the local store, really. But no, you're right.
That's true.
You're right. But the thing about the buying all the the Russians or whoever buying the properties is they're not using them.
Yeah.
Just as an
yes. Yeah, it is an asset, Brad. But look, I want to ask you and Philip this question from Kevin Lims, and then we'll go on about the Saudi Pro League. Sort of bring it back to the football side of it, and we'll leave the politics side of it. I know they're linked, but we try to leave the politics out of it. Can just go on about the Saudi Pro League. Ask Man City fans if they would like to hand back all their silverware.
Oh yeah, no,
it's a very good point.
Yeah. No, Kevin's spot on, and that's my point about football fans shouldn't be made to feel guilty. You have your concerns and whatever, but no, you shouldn't be making them feel guilty. And if your club does win things, they're winning it on the football field. With let's face it, Blackburn won the Premier League because their owner earned lots of money and put money into buying the decent players. So it's you support your team, and it's just human nature that you're going to celebrate your victories. I'm sure. You hear stories about Joe Lewis and what he's doing in parts of South America.
Patagonia.
Patagonia was building these complexes. So we're not immune to that. But. Yeah, it's a good point, and as I say, and I've always said this. I'm sorry, but I will be dancing down the streets if we win the Premier League and we've got dodgy owners. It's human nature. It's human nature, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I was wondering where the noise was coming from, and then I realised it was from you. I thought it was the TV. That was
not me. I've got to go and refresh my glass because
you're getting some of that non-alcoholic beer, is it?
I will.
Yeah.
I shall be.
Now, Philip.
Well, I was going to tell my missus to stop talking on the phone. That's what I was coming through. Hold on, back in a sec. One tick.
All right, you're both pissed off. You're both buggered off. Anyway, listen, guys. Let me know what you think in the chat. What me and Philip are talking about, and Brad here. What do you think? Yeah. Does it affect you? I wasn't complaining, Philip. I was just wondering where it was coming from.
No, I could hear the call coming through. Yeah. Anyway, what's the question? Will UEFA and FIFA stand firm?
Yeah. Well, look, this is what I want to talk about, Philip. Look, we know we saw that stuff. The poll, by the way, just very quickly, the poll: would you watch a Saudi Pro League? 12% say yes, 88% say no.
Yeah, I know.
And I've also got a bit of
good lads.
Yeah, there are a lot of people. I'm very surprised by that, Philip, by the 12% that would watch it.
Yeah, maybe just out of curiosity,
Yeah, maybe so. But I've got a bit of breaking news about Jota. As we all know, Jota went over to the Saudi League, but now they want rid of him. Now, the ex-Celtic forward Jota is on Angie's wish list as a striker to bring Tottenham Hotspur and Spurs are keeping an eye on the situation. Al Littlehad. Another Al. Shut up, phone. Hang on. Al Littlehad. Al Littlehad want rid. Linking up with his former manager will allow him to thrive in North London, hearing around €15 million if a deal can be done.
I wonder how good he is. Or is he more a winger?
He's a striker. He is a striker. I tell you one thing, Brad, me and Philip would back me up in this. I'd love him at Tottenham. I would love Jota at Tottenham, really would. But look, FIFA. Look, Brad. Look, we know how bad FIFA were with the Qatari World Cup and the corruption that went on within that firm and FIFA and everything, and of course UEFA as well. Now we know the Saudi Pro League have been in talks with UEFA to come into the UEFA Champions League. Now that's the next thing that's probably happening.
That's like Australia entering the Eurovision Song Contest,
which they do.
Exactly.
It'll be America next. Donald Trump will try to get them in there. You watch it. He probably started his own Eurovision Song Contest called "I Won the Election, but I Didn't." Yeah, Trump's song. But Philip, I'll start with you, Brad. Actually, will UEFA and FIFA stand firm when it comes to the Saudi Pro League, or do you
of course they won't.
Do you think it was bend over as quickly as anything when you see a couple of brown envelopes coming their way?
Look at the PGA in America, the PGA and the golf. You know, they'll make all the right statements and all the the right quotes and that, but of course they won't. You know, when have they ever? Look at all the world. There's a great documentary on various World Cups and what teams that got the World Cup. Look, Qatar being a good example. No, they won't stand firm. The only thing FIFA have done that in recent memory that I think was really good, and they may not have even done this sort of thinking, was the English women's footballer who got sent off in the knockout game. They only banned her for 2 games so she could play in the final. Now, whether they did that on purpose, I don't know. That's the only decent thing FIFA have ever done. And what I was saying about football fans taking the blame, I won't tell you the brand of beer because, advertising. I've got a can of beer, the world's first carbon negative beer. Drink beer. It's carbon negative brewery, 1/3 less water, powered by wind turbines. They plant trees. So here's to you. By drinking this beer, you are having a positive impact on the planet. Am I drinking it because of that reason? No, I'm drinking because I like the taste of it. Makes me feel better, don't get me wrong, but I'm drinking it because I like the taste of it. So, that's human nature for you.
I'm just a big up here, Philip. We've actually reached India. We've actually, somebody from India is watching us.
Well done.
Wow.
Well done. Welcome.
Very
welcome.
Big up, Jag. I'll let you pronounce this name.
Jagli Rawat.
See, I always give Philip all...
Jagjit Rawat.
Yeah,
Come
I always give
Spurs. Love from India. Yeah. Big up to all of you. Well done, man. That's the middle of the night with you as well. So fair dues.
I always give Philip the difficult words because I can't get my teeth around them. But anyway, FIFA, what's he doing now? He's telling you where to go. That's what he's doing. He's telling you FIFA and I don't know. You can't get the staff these days, Brad. Really can. Maybe we should send Mrs. Brady into UEFA and FIFA. Can she knock some sense to them?
God help them if that ever happened. I said, God help them if that ever happened.
We'll send a pair of them.
I'd say there'd be mass resignations within about 5 minutes.
Yeah. You, me, Brad, and Dave will take over UEFA. We'll put Brad in charge of FIFA. We'll just take over UEFA.
Yeah,
we see Brad going round.
They won't stand firm. You rightly say there, when the first brown envelope that comes along, that's them, Yeah. But they're going to have to stand firm because if they don't, the Saudis will walk all over us.
Yeah.
Like they're if they're to get into the Champions League, which is their main intention, that every Saudi club is going to have to come under financial fair play, and that's them disqualified more or less the start, because how can you pay out £1 billion in wages when you know money coming in from the 30,000 gate? It just doesn't make sense.
No. And look, Tequila says screw the Saudi league. That is all.
Yeah,
I think it's the simple things that make the most sense.
Yeah. It is. We've got Tequila saying, what do you expect, Omo? We are the Tiger champion. Yeah. Tiger's big in India. Yeah, that's true. Tony the Tiger. I like him. I remember him now, Tony the Tiger. They're great. The Champions League is for the top. Yeah, the Champions League is for the top European talent, and they have to stay firm. If they don't, then I'm sorry to say it. It is bye-bye Champions League, hello Super League, and there will be riots. Do you think, guys, look, we had the Super League thing a couple of years ago. When that broke, that broke on a Sunday afternoon, and then suddenly, within a couple of hours, we heard Tottenham were involved in it. We heard Arsenal, Manchester United, Man City. The top 6 were involved in it. There was talks of them getting chucked out of the Premier League. And then all the fans started protesting. Do you think fan power? You didn't get many people protesting with the likes of Newcastle's takeover, Philip, or the Qatari takeover. Is it because these people are picking clubs that they know their fans are so much want to get rid of their current owners that they will welcome them with open arms? So if somebody went to do you know what I mean? Do you think that could be that they're looking and thinking, Philip, say you're a Qatari, right? sorry to say that, but say you're Qatari Philip Brady, right? And Brad's Tottenham Hotspur, and you know that the Tottenham fans want Joe Lewis and Daniel Levy out. And you look thinking, will I buy Tottenham or will I buy a Burnley? Let's have a look.
Yeah.
The fans love the owners at Burnley. Oh, they don't like them at Tottenham. We're going to buy Tottenham.
Yeah.
They're going to welcome me with open arms. Do you think there really is somebody doing that somewhere along the line thinking, boss, I'll go for that because of the fans hating their owners?
Yeah, it's certainly that's something they'll be looking at. Like, they don't want to go after clubs, settled and respected owners. Like, hence that's why the Glazers and Man United have been under such pressure to sell, because the United fans hate them, completely hate them for screwing the club they have for years. So Spurs would be a natural thing. The Spurs are probably next on the list. I'm not sure if any other club has a chairman as unpopular as Daniel Levy. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think there is another club apart from Man United. I think most of the clubs are kind of half set. I watched that documentary about Burnley, and they absolutely love their chairman. He actually seems to be a genuinely nice guy, you know, what I saw of it, you know.
And also,
I'm sorry. I've got to take that now.
I'll get you back for that.
Don't forget, if you're comparing Tottenham with Burnley, these Saudis or whoever it might be, they want, if you're looking at the sports washing phenomena, they want the publicity. They want to be out there. So, Tottenham is a much more out there, for marketing purposes and that sort of thing than say Burnley. So I think that comes into it. But it does seem strange that the clubs they've gone for are clubs that have had people against their owners, who are just desperate to get rid of them. So Tottenham have got, as you said earlier, Tottenham have got a difference in the fact that not only Tottenham but North London in general is quite a big Jewish community there. So having the Saudis come in, that would really sort of wouldn't go down well. But yeah, I think what they're aiming for when they buy a football club is that sort of presence and having your name plastered everywhere. And Tottenham at the moment, it's not the biggest club in the world, but at the moment, its presence around the world is gaining. So, and obviously, success would make that make it gain more. So if you're pumping money into a club, you buy a club, pump money to get the best players in the world, so they win. Success, it gives you that publicity as well. So yeah.
There you go, Philip. I've just put your initials, your title up there now, as you will be known from going forward. Sheikh Al Philip Brady. There you go. Look, you got your first customer there, Colin there. He's bowing down to you, laughing. How does it feel to be a sheikh, Philip?
Where's my camel? Where's my camel?
It's on its way.
Don't milk it. Don't milk it.
Don't milk it. It runs with the 1.2 litre engine. It's slower than a Skoda.
Right.
It won't get you very far. I'll take that off. I'll take that. But listen, we'll crack on. Look, now transfers, guys. The transfers to the Saudi League has been unbelievable. Now, Philip, do you want to read them out? Because I can't. Because somehow the red for me is really. I didn't think of that.
Some of these players I haven't heard of, like Akanbi, well, I've heard him from Lyon, like Laporte, Man City, Mitrovic from Fulham, Neymar from PSG, Kessie, Barcelona, Fabinho, Liverpool, Lucas Zelarayan from Columbus, Creek, wherever they are, Alison Maximin from Newcastle, Mahrez from Man City, Henderson from Liverpool.
And then we've got
keep going. Yeah, there were Moussa Dembele. There must be about 10 Moussa Dembele's knocking about from Lyon. Alex Telles from Man United, Firmino Liverpool, Brozovic from Inter Milan, Mendy from Chelsea, Ruben Neves from Wolves. I'm amazed he hasn't been lent back to Newcastle yet. He probably will be. Karim Benzema from Real Madrid, who really started it all off, really. Along with Ronaldo.
But he's now having problems with Nuno. And the club probably want to get shot of him actually as well.
Does he not like garden gnomes?
No, he doesn't. No, he's had enough of garden gnomes. Apparently, your camel, Colin says, I will get that instantly, Your Highness. So there you go. Your camel's on its way for you. What colour would you like? Is that
two-tone.
Two-tone. Okay.
Two-tone,
So
yeah.
If
with air
you go,
conditioning.
if you go to the old boy, he's got lovely camel jackets for you with humps on the back as well. So if you want to go there, he'll have one for you. But look, with the transfer, we saw the transfer there, guys. And really, there's been a lot of talk. I think Arteta was saying this in the press conferences this week, that the Saudi Premier League transfer window should shut, get that right, shut, at the same time as the rest of Europe. Now, Philip, what do you think? Do you think it should happen? Or do you think, look, they're not part of Europe, they're not part of the UEFA umbrella, so it's got really nothing to do with us, and we really shouldn't be telling another league what to do if they're not under the UEFA umbrella?
They want to get under the UEFA umbrella, and if they want to do that, they're going to have to start acting like every other member state of the UEFA family. So they can't have their transfer window lasting into March or April, whenever it does. I don't know when it goes into. It's a couple of months down the road anyway. So no, they're going to have to comply in every way, and that's financially as well as transfer wise, because you cannot have two sets of rules. If they come in, if they ever, God forbid, they ever do get into the European way, Champions League and things like that, they're going to have to be exactly replicate whatever every other European club rules are bound by. And if they don't want to do that, well, take a hike and stay where you are.
Brad?
I totally agree with Philip. It's funny that who would have jurisdiction over them? I mean, FIFA should be, because it's a world game, and they're not exactly in Europe. So maybe FIFA should come out and generally. I mean, obviously, you can't have the transfer window the same all around the world, because obviously different leagues start at different times. But certainly, if it's to do with the European leagues, it should be definitely the same time. Otherwise, what's the point of having a transfer window? So.
For Dan, Colin says, "Fantastic choice, my liege. You shall have the finest camel in the land, in all the land."
I just wish I was a really good footballer with a surname Knight. So you can imagine the son would have lots and lots of Arabian Nights.
Yeah. No, I tell you one thing. I bet you next week Brad will be in Saudi Arabia with his Brad Knights football club starting up.
If someone offers me lots of money to take Blue Sofa songs to Saudi Arabia,
he's going to have a word with his boss on Monday. Listen, boss, look, could you do me a loan for about a couple of billion, right? I want to set up my team right in Saudi Arabia, right, called Brad Knights. We can buy the best players in the world. We can we can have Ted Lasso as the manager. We can have Mr. Blobby, his brilliant striker up front. And I tell you, for defence, we can buy Eric Dyer and Don Bele for the midfield. We'll win the league.
Given the nature of some of my songs and some of the meanings behind them, some of the lyrics, I'm not sure I'd survive a long time in Saudi Arabia. So,
well, you could be a bit like Noel Gallagher, and you could be the Noel Gallagher of Saudi Arabia.
I wish I was the Noel Gallagher of West Ealing, actually, West London.
Maybe you are, Brad, but you're not. Maybe when you come off screen, you really are this Noel Gallagher. You know what I mean? And we've got column here. Leslie says that their transfer window closes on the 20th of September.
Yeah, they're 3 weeks more than 3 weeks more.
Yeah.
It'll be good if we can get rid of some of our players.
Well, I wonder we might be changing our tune a bit if Eric Dyer signs them on the 19th of September.
Yeah, and then Colin saying Al had Brad Knights FC. There you go. See, would you be employing Colin as your a manager over there? Would you?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
See, he will do everything. Get your camels. He can run your football club. Get Philip's camels. I mean, that man does everything. He's security up at the Leeds Festival this weekend. Bless him. So enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But look, guys, look, for me, the transfer window should shut at the same time as everyone else. But Philip, look, we're going to finish this podcast off soon. I think we've tried to be respectful in a way without causing anyone offense or causing anyone any upset. We've tried to, so I hope we have with this debate. It's a difficult debate to have, isn't it, Philip?
It is.
Without upsetting somebody.
I hope nobody in Saudi Arabia is watching it and everything.
Oh Lord, I don't know.
Or I might get me camel.
Oh no, that's already gone by DPB. DPD. That's
right.
That's already gone. It going through Royal Mail, then it come over to you. But look, guys, let's finish it off here very quickly, and then we will end off on Tottenham. Where do you see the Saudi Pro League, Philip, in 5 years' time?
I won't say gone bust, because you could never go bust. What I would say is it'll probably peter out, because players will go there, they'll take the money, they'll realize they're playing in a farmers league, pretty much so. And like, as I always say, I cannot understand young players in the mid-20s going out there when they could stay in Europe and make something of themselves. They're purely gone for the money. That will run out in due course, I think. Stories might come back about how it's not just as free and easy living in Saudi as they'd like you to think it is, right? Plus, there's also the fact of, now I know this is something that's going to be controversial when I say it, is that I'm sure that there are an element of the footballer fraternity who are gay, right? And there's no chance they'll ever be accepted in Saudi Arabia. So, bear that in mind as well. The human rights scenario would not just allow that. So I think it'll probably peter out, a bit like the Live Golf thing did. It started off with a bang, then they ended up amalgamating with the PGA, but it doesn't have the clout, I think, that they thought it might have. So I'll say 2 years' time, when the likes of Ronaldo and them are starting to retire, they will not be replaced.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, Phil, I think anyone outside of Saudi Arabia is not going to give a toss anyway. What's going on over there? No. So I certainly won't.
Yeah. But look, I know it's a difficult conversation to have, and I think we could, if we were allowed, we could probably go more in depth of our feelings and how we think. But you also got to show respect, haven't you, guys, of other people's beliefs, other people's religions and cultures, and that. Look, just because we don't agree with it, there's plenty of people that do agree with it. And look, it's shocking what's happening over there. It isn't right. Human rights. And look, it's down to governing bodies, it's down to world governments to sort this problem out. And the ones that have been lumbered with it is us, the football fans. We've been lumbered with it. All we want to do is go and watch our team play on a Saturday or a Tuesday night and watch us win a competition. And football has changed so much over 30 years since the Premier League started. And as Brad rightly said, you had the likes of Blackburn winning the league. But Jack Walker, he did buy the league. But as 1992, there was no foreign owner of any Premier League club. They were all British owned.
That's right.
Now there's only 4 clubs in the whole Premier League owned by English owners. Look, football is at the crossroads of its life here. If it goes down the wrong road, football could lose its soul. Very quickly, Philip, just a yes or no, and then I will get to the poll and then we'll finish up on Spurs very quickly. Will football sell its soul, do you think, or do you think it already has sold its soul?
I think, I'm hopeful it won't. Right, I'm hopeful it won't, but I'm not confident. I think it possibly, if they get into the European scenario, I really think I fear for the future. I hope that the powers that be will stand up to them, but I'm not confident.
And Brad, look, one side flip side question to that for you is it down to FIFA and UEFA to change the rules? But also, is it down to world governments to put pressure on, like the FA or the German FA or whatever, to put, like they did with Abramovich? Let's not forget, you had somebody in charge of a football club in the Premier League where his country, how many countries have invaded other countries? And they've always turned a blind eye to somebody from that country owning that club. It was only because of the world put the pressure on. Everyone got behind Ukraine, and rightly so, for what happened in Ukraine and what's still going on in Ukraine at this present time.
Yeah.
But should the likes of, say, the British government, whoever it is, or a German government, whatever, Brad, should they put pressure on their FA to change the rules so that this can never happen again? Or is it going to be money will always talk?
Well, money always will come into it. I think as far as the government, you've got to be careful with governments telling people what to do, like UEFA or whatever it might be, or your football association or Premier League, telling them what to do. You've got to be very careful with that. But the problem is that the government, they only acted on Abramovich because it was a thing that everyone was seeing. Everyone was seeing what's happening in Ukraine. It was them, literally them scoring points. Look what we've done. We've got this horrible Russian out of our country because of they invading Ukraine. So the government will do, and I'm not talking about it was just coincidentally the Tory government, but I'm sure if it was the Labour government, they'd have done the same thing. Governments will just do that. They'll pick up points for doing it. So I think we have to be really careful when governments start interfering with what other sort of things do. But if it's blatant, if it's absolutely blatant and it's against the laws of the country, then yeah, sure they have to act. So for instance, if people will say, "Oh, you shouldn't let someone into the country if they're a murderer or whatever," which is fair enough. So you could argue that the owners of Newcastle, you could argue, allegedly, the prince, whatever his name, was involved in the murder of that journalist. So the government could say, no, we don't allow murderers into our country. So you go down that route, maybe you could do it that way. But I think you have to be really careful with governments telling other sort of societies what to do. And they do it only to better themselves, to make themselves look good. And as I said, the Ukrainian situation is absolutely terrible. What Russia have done is absolutely terrible. It was in the news. Abramovich is Russian. Government steps in. Goodbye. Everyone says, "Oh, well done, government. Brilliant." If it been, when the Saudis come in, the Saudis involved in the bombing of Yemen, that sort of thing, no one says anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, look, guys, Colin says it's been a great show. Amir Dermatron, Al-Had Brad, and Sheikh Al Philip. Fantastic points. Fantastic points and views put across. Look, we've tried to do it in the right way, Philip, haven't we? And we talk about this, and we're thinking, should we or shouldn't we not do it? And we thought, well, why not? It had to be a conversation. And I think, as you well know in this channel, we don't back away from conversations like that, do we, Philip? And we never have done, and we never will. We're like the rebel. We're like the rebels of the 90s. We're like we're Irish rebels, aren't we, Philip? Really, to be fair.
Yes, Mr. Collins.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Dev. Sitting there. Look at him. Maybe you could be Harry Boland. He was Mick Collins' best mate. So there you can be Harry Boland.
He ended badly for him.
It did. But it ended badly for me too. Thank you very much.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I lasted about 2 days long. Do you know it's his anniversary the other day, Philip?
All right, okay. The film is on TV again this weekend. That's probably why. I think tomorrow night.
That's a great film. You need to watch. Brad, where can people find you? So very quickly, just to bring this up.
Right, if you go onto YouTube.
Very quickly, Brad, very quickly. There's Tottenham, second in the league. No defeats, 2 wins on the bounce, and beaten in 3. We've got Burnley next. But Brad, where can people find you, sir? And thank you for coming on to this podcast. It's always great to have you on.
Well, I'm on various Spurs live streams if I'm invited. At the time I'm not out, but I'm a aspiring or aging aspiring songwriter. So if you don't already know, Blue Sofa Songs is my YouTube channel. There are probably about 40 or 41 songs on there. I'm working now, so I release a song every month. I play all the instruments, I record them, do all the vocals, record the videos, all that. I do everything basically. The songs are really about my experiences, my feelings. There's politics in there which you may not agree with, but that's life. People don't agree with stuff. So so get over to it, have a look at it. If you like it, click the like, subscribe to all those sort of really nice things. Blue Sofa Songs. I'm still aiming to. Sometimes I'm not happy with what I do. I think, that could have come out better. So I'm always striving to improve with every song. And one day I will write the new Penny Lane. That's my ambition.
And if you are going to watch the boxing tonight, enjoy. And I hope Daniel Dubois does well. Actually, I hope he wins.
Dubois.
Dubois. I hope he does. Actually does. But listen, guys, Philip, you're off on your holidays. You're going to be here and there this week. Next week. Yeah, I'm back tomorrow with my Dermatron thoughts on today's game. Then
I'll put one up as well. I'll put one up as well.
Yeah, Philip's going to do it. And then I'm back on Monday with news. Well, not Newsbeat. Newsbeat's gone through a little bit of a change. We're going to just do it as a daily news update of the bigger subject of that day. So that starts from Monday. Monday night, we're back with the Premier League review. I think me and Colin, are on for that one. Colin, if you can let me know if you're around for that. And also on Thursday, we start at 8 o'clock to midnight. Hopefully Brad can pop on. Hopefully Philip can as well. It's for the deadline day.
Is that Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday for deadline day show where we're going up to 12:30 at the close of business. Can Tottenham buy anyone? Can we get in a striker? This week's going to be a busy week for us. If any news breaks, you will hear it here first, course on THFC till I die. Philip, now look, what is Fred up to today? And there's only one thing Fred's up to, isn't it?
Well, it could be a lot of things. Fred, when Fred, a Spurs fan, when he heard that West Ham were on top of the league by 1 goal.
Okay, I was more going on when Fred saw Richarlison fall himself.
Well, that's true. That's true. That as well.
Yeah, we'll do that one.
That's gotta hurt.
Maybe he's been offered a big move to the Saudi Pro League. Who knows? We could be losing Fred. Bye, Fred. But listen, yeah, we are back tomorrow. Probably a pre-record, so that'll be up sometime tomorrow evening. Philip, thank you so much. Enjoy your holidays, a week away. You will be joining us here and there, but enjoy your week.
Here and there.
A week away from me, a week away from the channel, and a week away from the stress of Tottenham. But are you back next week for the watch-along or the Round the Grounds next Saturday?
Oh, yeah. Back on Friday.
Yeah. Hopefully Brad will join us for a Round the Grounds as well.
Yeah, I should be okay. I applied for tickets to Burnley, but were unsuccessful. I was about 80 loyalty points away. So, but I will be going to Fulham on Tuesday night, which is literally, I'm working Hammersmith. And anyone knows that London, Fulham's probably about a half-hour walk from where I work. So I'll be going to the game after work on Tuesday. So I'm looking.
I'll tell you what, Brad, I'll send a link to you on Tuesday, and you can link in before and after the game and halftime. Give us your thoughts of the.
I'll try.
And if you see anyone there, Tottenham fans, just get a few interviews for us as well and send
if
them
anyone's going, anyone watching's going, contact us.
Yeah, and Brad will get a few interviews and get them over to me, Brad, and I'll put them up on the channel. We call it Brad's Match Blog. There you go, with his didgeridoo. But look, we're going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching. I need to go and cook me and my missus dinner. Philip's going to play with his didgeridoo. And Brad's going to chill out to some Oasis and God knows what else for the rest of the evening.
I've got to get my tea, but it'll be basically on the app ordering it. So
yeah. Listen, good luck to Daniel Dubois tonight against Usyk. I hope you win. And also the Grand Prix on tomorrow. So do you know what? Enjoy the rest of your weekend and love your family because we're nothing without family. So come on, you Spurs. Big out. Trust.